applause, please. Now, I'm trying to think of a way to intro him, but he literally does pretty much every job in the creative industry. He's styling, he's been a model, he's running a platform promoting emerging designers online called SHOUTOUT, which we'll go a bit more about. He's also a fashion designer. You saw Felix out in the studios on the Runway just a few moments ago. So yeah, you're in good hands, and then he's going to introduce the guest for you guys.
Hello everyone, I feel like I should be standing up. I feel like I can't see them. Well, okay. Hello everyone, how are we? Thank you so much for staying by. Last time in Bristol when we did this, we had a couple less people, so it's really amazing to have a lot more people here today. Yeah, as Truman said, we have really amazing people. These are all people that I've worked with or connected with in different parts of my life, which we will all talk about. But yes, my name is Felix. I modeled, I've been making clothes since I was 13. I also now run a platform called SHOUTOUT, which is a marketplace for emerging designers, promoting and showcasing and doing collaborations with them. We started a production company off the back of that, but we do lots of stuff, and that's kind of why I'm here. Anyway, I'm going to hand over to these guys, and we're going to speak about what you guys do. Oh yes, I forgot. 7:45, we're going to be out this place. Someone's going to give me evil eyes, right? And so, at some point, I'm going to cut these guys off, and that's not because I'm rude, I promise. And they already know that I'm doing that, but I wanted to tell you guys so that when you see me doing that, you're like, oh, who the fuck? You know, so I don't want to do that. So, if I cut them off, it's not rude, we just got to keep going, because we want to get to the questions and get interactive with you guys, okay? Cool. Rich, tell us a bit about you, bro. Right there, bro.
Hello, my name is Rich Evans. I'm a creative director, and I run a brand development agency called Rich London, based in Brixton. Started off, I'm the granddad of the group, so almost 50, so I've been in the thing for a long time, probably almost 30 years. Started off as a stylist and just worked my way up, being bossy on shoots, telling people that this could be a bit better, and just being passionate about vision and creativity. And I just worked my way up, so you're just behind the camera, organising everything from stylist to location to narrative. And yeah, I hate talking about myself, but more recently I found it quite rewarding. So it's nice to be asked to come and say some stuff and hopefully give back a little bit of knowledge. So yeah, that's me.
Amazing. Megan?
Hi guys, I'm Megan Wing, and I'm the founder of Wings World. I started it in 2020 on Depop. I was a Depop seller. I loved second-hand clothes, and at the time I was living in Naples, Italy. I don't really know, that's like the hub, the home of a lot of vintage and second-hand clothes. I founded Wings World in memory of my dad. My father was a huge wholesaler. He used to do all the military, government surplus, and I wanted to carry on his legacy in a way. So my surname is Wing, and that's why I'm called Wings World. My main passion and goal is sustainability. That's like my main mantra, and it's about how can I make clothes zero waste. Because always at one point there's like an end of life expiry date of an item. So we're currently coming up with new ways that when we have items that are too badly damaged stains, we remove the zips, we remove the buttons, and we're currently shredding them into cloth. So we sell it as rags, like Formula One. We recently did buckling pallets for the stables. But for me, that's still end of life, because once it's finished as a rag, so I'm coming up with ideas to shred it and put it in furniture and teddy bears and other things that we can do. But we save all of our clothes from landfill. 20%, so when you donate to charity shops and places, only 20% goes on the shop floor, 80% is thrown away, and that's where I step in, get the clothes back, and we resell. So I go live roughly eight days a week on a platform called Whatnot, which I am a massive advocate for. It's an amazing platform, amazing community, and we sell roughly around 300 items a day. Over the last 24 hours, we've actually done 1,100. I've come directly from a live show, but that's what we do. Keep it in circulation, and everything starts at £1 as well. So another thing is low-income families was my main goal. I saw that there's a lot of second-hand clothes. Why are they going for so much money? I want affordability. I do fill a bag. So I brought back the whole fill a bag event, £10. I collaborate with Box Parts. So we haven't done one in a while, so I've been focusing on my whole whatnot game. But families come along, fill up a bag for £10. Now they're leaving with a whole wardrobe, and that is really important to me. Families can come, fathers of the children, everyone, and they can get great items, second-hand and affordable and accessible. That's what we're doing at Wings World.
Lucas, tell us.
Hello. So yeah, I've basically been doing like photography, videography stuff for about 8 years now, and that sort of spanned from like shooting like children's birthday parties for like 50 quid, all the way up to like big commercial campaigns that you might have seen like on the high street. And then videography again, like right starting at the bottom to now like we got a movie into Austin Film Festival that's coming up in a couple weeks. So sort of like the whole spectrum of like visuals has sort of been all around it, but mainly sort of sitting in commercial and press, fashion, photography at the minute. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, that is enough about us guys. Sorry about that. But we want to hear what you guys do. We want to hear, can I have a hands up if you're a model in this room? Hand up please. Can I have a hand up if you are a videographer in this room? Can I have a hand up if you're a photographer, stylist, creative director, visionary, man of power, people of power? No, anyway, there's a lot of creative passion in this room. Thank you so much for being here. We want to now turn this creative passion into an income. So our first part of this panel talk is understanding how we can turn your creative passion into how we can get some money out of it. All these guys have come from having a passion just like us, and now they're making a little bit of money about it and a lot, and whatever money they're making out of it, that's not a problem. But yeah, we want to hear how they've taken this step. So, Rich?
Well, it's the tricky question, how to make money. So, you've got to have a passion first, and if your passion is big enough, then people will notice it. So mine was styling and fashion and making and helping out my friends and helping out shops that I liked. And I moved to London, didn't know anyone, so I was offered a few vintage stores. I'd do their lookbooks and visuals for free. I just searched around the internet for people that would need someone for free, do a lot of work experience, and just eventually someone will recommend you, and someone will say, hey, there's this guy and he's alright, and he helps out, makes the coffee, he help me with my boxes, and
Did you make your coffee?
So yeah, you got to do everything over and above of what you're needed to do, and make yourself known, stand out, and be fun, be friendly, and be kind and honest. And eventually, two people will want you to do something for free at the same time, and say, oh no, guess what? I'm helping this, and they'll say, okay, we'll give you 50 quid. And it starts from there. So you create a demand with your passion. People get to know you, and they get to know that, it's Felix, he's a cool guy, and we want you to compare our event. He does it for free. And then someone will go, oh hang on, who wanted him to do it for free? And then Felix will go, hang on about, give me a tenner. And then it just starts from there, that's it. And
just so you know, whenever you ask me, I will be done work.
In the beginning, people will offer you free clothes and shoes and photos and all that crap, but after a while you'll have enough shoes and trainers and photos, you won't need any more, and you have to start paying the bills. So that's just how I went from 20 quid, like said that there, so it went from 20 quid, 30 quid up to the top. So, and then I still do car boot sales now. If I see something on the side of the road and someone's chucked it out, I'll put it in the boot of my car and I'll sell it on.
He's a hustler. He's a hustler.
You've got to keep hustling. If there's ways to make money, I'm always looking, because as soon as you become freelance, it's just like you're on your own. It's like you're on your own. It's like you're working for someone. I was working in home base, and you've got an army of staff to help you out. If you call sickie, doesn't matter. But as soon as you go freelance, it's like your army's gone and you're lost in the jungle with just you and a gun. And you're just, shit, I've got to make some money. So you've got your passion, your career, what you're shooting for, but you've always got to think, okay, I'm done with this jacket now, I'll sell it, I make a bit of money, oh, hang on a minute, I've seen that on Free Cycle, what's you getting rid of that for? I could just go around, pick that up, and I could just flip that. So always thinking of like business minded.
Yeah, amazing. Megan, maybe you could give us more of a top tip, like let's think of 3 things or one thing that was a really powerful point that changed from you turning your passion into an income for you.
So I was going to say Rich covered the whole thing. I was like, yeah, but you got it down. That was 100% a passion thing. For me, I once heard this quote, and it really stayed with me. Maybe I'm going to say it, and everyone's like, what is she talking about? So I'm going to try and remember it. It was something along the lines of, there's always going to be someone out there that has it worse than you, and that is hungrier than you. And I remember when it came to what I wanted to do, I was like, there's not going to be anyone that wants it more. I was like, you've got to be hungry, that's what it is. I'm always calculating, like my partner over there, Harry, is like, for God's sake, mate, we've got to have a date night without you talking about the business. It's like, it's an obsession in a way, but it's a healthy obsession. So I forgot the question, I'm very, very sorry about
That's okay.
But it's just basically being hungry. For me, it was something about flipping it, was, I remember for years, I started in 2020, I had a side job. I was doing 3 jobs. I was working at Sketch, the one with the egg toilets, I was a receptionist. But they got to a point where I built up similar things of doing all these certain jobs that Rich said, and built up a certain portfolio and did certain events and worked on the social media that I could say, actually, I can sustain myself in a way. You just got to do those, you've got to walk through the mud, tread through the mud. You've got to have those rough days, otherwise it comes to everyone so easy. You've got to get that bit of grafting going, and then it's so much more rewarding when you do get that, oh, I've just got to pay the rate, it's 20 quid, 10 quid, whatever. You've got to enjoy the little wins, celebrate the little wins.
Yeah, I think what that comes down to from both of these guys was hunger, drive, right? You've got to do more and everything and be more active than the other person who's going to take that job. It's such a highly populated creative space, especially in London, but also globally. Everyone loves fashion now for some reason. And they're all trying to take our jobs. And so the only way that you really succeed right now is you have to be hungrier than the other person. You know, I think all of these guys can relate, and myself. There's been many occasions where for 2-3 years, you're spending doing many, many different things. And you're doing many, many different jobs, some free, some little bits of money, some 50 quid, 20 quid, some loads of money. And that's because you've got to do loads before you can get that consistency with the money and then pick and choose. You've also got to specialize. So doing loads of different things means that you can then see, oh, I really enjoyed that, I didn't enjoy that at all, that's paying me loads of money and I kind of enjoyed it as well, so I'm going to do that. And you can only find that out after doing such a broad array of things and going at it again and again with all different avenues. Lucas?
I'll try and be quick, but I'm going to stop. If I was starting again, from just moving to London, I don't really know anyone, haven't got a place to stay, don't really know anyone in the industry, all that sort of stuff. As well as being smart with the kind of jobs you want to take on, I know a lot of people that do very cool stuff, and they will have side hustles they're not talking about on their social media, or that part-time job, and it's thinking about what jobs could you, maybe it's a new job you want in the industry, and you might be thinking, oh, I want to get into this agency so I can see how it works, and that is a good avenue in, but it doesn't give you a lot of free time. I think a big part of when you're starting out is having the time to do these kind of free jobs, because it's easy to say go and do a free job, but if you're working full time, that could be very difficult. Another thing that was really helpful for me when I first got to London was I was couch surfing around. I didn't really have anywhere to stay. I was that cut my living expense off, so I wasn't paying rent. So then I had that sort of 400 or 500 to go and rent little bits of equipment and play around and have fun times and learn things with equipment on these free jobs. Because the free jobs are really an excuse for you to try stuff out. Rent that new piece of equipment, learn something new, give it a go. If it fails, no hard feelings, that was a free job, And then there's also a lot of schemes that are out there, especially anyone neurodivergent or from any kind of minority group. There's so many good government schemes to get you money for you might not see your creative industry as starting a business, but that's how the government see it, and they have funding out there to give you, to support you whilst you find your way and find your footing, whilst you take on these creative, like, you know, low-paying jobs, and that can help get your base. And part of that building the portfolio thing, I know when I was starting, I just saw like, I need my portfolio, I want the website, like I just saw it as like, that's my board, I want the website to look good. But the other thing that's like the thing I'm realizing later is it's all the sort of people that you're meeting. Because every high-paying job I have ever got hasn't been from someone seeing my portfolio. It's never someone who's like, oh, we saw your website, it was fucking great. Like, no one's seen my fucking website. The only, like, all the commercial jobs I've got, which I can say, like, the one I met Felix on, it was like Jack Will's Spring Summer Campaign 2023. And the reason I got that job is I did some free headshots for the boyfriend of the producer on that job. And then I just got chatting to them, and that was it. Like, you know, just took some free headshots for a guy, and then fucking shooting some big commercial where he's, you know, Mr. Daddy Big Model. But it's all these little things, like, you might see it as like, on someone's Instagram, oh, they're doing this and that, and you know, it's just a continuous flow of their portfolio. But those little jobs are always there, all the way to the top. Like, I know some guys who, you know, I don't know if anyone's seen the film Sweet Caroline. It had like a big cinema release, they won Spirit of Sundance film, all that, and I chatted with him, I was like, that must have been great, guys, you must have done that. Yeah, well, we lost a lot of money on that, and you know, it's like, we didn't actually do much for us, but it's like, so a start for us to really make the next thing. It's like, there is no level where like, you're there and you've got it, and the money's just coming. There's always like, everyone who's progressing is taking the money they're making and putting it into the next little passion project. And it's like, as long as you're continuing to like, reshape the portfolio, go above and beyond, because you'll find this pattern of you'll do a little fun job, and then people start to see it and be like, oh, that's cool, like that, you do that for me, and then you keep doing that job for a year or so, and you're waiting to go above to the next step, and then no one's giving you that opportunity. Unfortunately, you're only hired for what you've already done. You're kind of incompetent until proven competent, so you have to do those passion projects to prove to people that you can do it, and that's what I'd say.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. So we've heard about the transitional period, and one way to speed up or to support the transitional period of turning your passion into income is gaining really great industry experience and mentorships. We're going to go and touch on what you guys have faced and how you managed to make that connection to get that job or to get the industry experience or mentorship you have. But I'm going to start with a personal story that I've experienced, how I've gained mentorship. And so, one thing I always try and do, and I feel very passionate about, is speaking to absolutely everybody. Every train I go on, I try and meet one person that I can take away from. And I mean, I've met a lot of people on trains, it's quite funny. But one guy recently, for instance, was the tutor at CSM. And I took his details and I showed him what I was working on with Sony, and he was very interested in how he mentored me. When I started Sony, about 8-9 months ago now, I bought something on Facebook Marketplace. It was an iPhone tripod. And I went to this guy's house and he took me to his garage where his iPhone tripod was, and I was a bit scared for a second. But I followed him and I trusted him. And when I got there, I asked him, oh, by the way, what do you do, man? He said, I run a tech company. And I said, what type of tech company? He said, I run marketplaces. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm just starting out my journey to build a marketplace for emerging designers. He walked me to my train station, which was about 20 minutes away, and we chatted about my whole business. And now we've had a call once a week for the last 8 months about the next steps in my business. And that's one of many people that I call regularly, of meeting them on the train, out about in public. The connections are insane. So I think meeting that person and trying to speak to everybody is so important. You don't understand the people that are in this room that can help you out, that could be looking for the next model for their campaign, or looking for the next stylist to build their brand, or, you know, there's so much connections in this room and out of this room and in this world. You just never know who you can meet. The funniest looking people, they're the most interesting people who you might be able to help out, which means that someone else will come and help you out. So yeah, speak to people. Anyway, that was my experience on mentorship, and I'm going to hand over to Richard. And maybe you give out mentorship a lot of times. So
yeah, no, we kind of used to we've always had work experiences, people, and internships, but I like to do this kind of stuff. And
I have a question. Rich gives a lot of mentorships out. Sorry to interrupt. Rich gives a lot of mentorships out. what makes you go with that person over another person? If that happens, what like stands out to you when that person comes and meets you to gain that experience?
Actually got some Athena over there is with us at the minute, and we've actually just given her a 1 day a week paid position, which is brilliant. So I kind of like, I don't know, if you need a CV, your passion's got to come across in your CV. It's not got to be a Word document. It's got to, you know, there's areas in your CV you can be creative with the about me bit, with the what you do bit. You know, you have the email you write needs to have a bit of flair, needs to have a bit of personality. That has to kind of marry up with what we do. If we do high-end stuff, it kind of needs to be a high-end kind of feeling cover letter. We do youth culture kind of stuff, and just got to jump out. You know, you've got to be socially acceptable, be different, not too different, not cringe. It's a very fine line, and it just kind of every business has got their need, and you have to research whatever the company you're going for, and if you feel you're right for it, just be yourself. There's no point if you wanted to work in I don't know, a shop and you're completely different to that shop. You can't bend yourself to be perfect. So find somewhere. My story is very similar, not one story, but I was trying to get out of my hometown, Southampton, because going a little bit off the rails, and I wanted to go travelling. I ended up going on my own, so bumming around Thailand, and I bumped into this girl. It was a girl, and she said, I said, "What do you do?" I said, "What do you do?" She said, "I'm a fashion editor." And I was like, "Shit! Oh my god!" I never saw any fashion jobs advertised, and I was like, "Shit! How? What? And how'd you get that?" She said, "I remember find somewhere that you would love to work and try and get work experience there." And when I finally got to Australia, I found a magazine that I really loved, and I just did exactly that. And I just was myself, and then they called me back, and I did work experience there, and that's how I started. The very lowest level.
I think one really key point that Rich just said was researching where you're going to apply to. I think that's overlooked a lot of the time. So researching into who you're speaking to and who you're emailing at this company, and then therefore also what the company does and their key messaging, and if that aligns with you, and if you can show that through your email or your outlet to them and reach out is really important. I think as much as emails and online communication really hits with that, I think in person you're going to have such a better success rate at the end of the day, because you can show them that you're interested, you're passionate, you're going to work hard just by a conversation. So easy in that conversation. So striving those connections in physical connection is just or as even more important to get these work experiences. Megan, what's been your work experiences? Have you had that? You give out on work experience as well. So maybe what makes you pick the right person is being interested.
I had one story in mind when you had the question, and I thought it's really hard. Often people ask me, how do you get supplied with clothes from landfill? Where do you get the clothes from? And when I first started this journey, especially selling every day on a live platform, I knew I needed a huge volume of clothes, and I really had to tactically think about this because I didn't necessarily have the direct contact. So what I did was I researched. I went online and found loads of suppliers that do have direct contact. And there was this one guy, and I went to each warehouse, each wholesaler that get the clothes from charity shops, get the clothes from landfill, because you've got to have that. You cannot be one young girl pulling up saying, "Can I get some clothes?" You've got to be a huge company taking like 100 ton a week, you know. So I went to all the different wholesalers, and all of them were very official, didn't want to give me the time of day. And there was one place in Birmingham, and I went there, and the guy was sitting in his office with a cigarette, a cap like mine, and I knew I could work with this. I was like, it's giving me vibes of my dad, I know how to work with this. And I gave him my proposal, like, let me work for free, I want to learn, I want to know what's happening. He was having none of it. So I proceeded to go there every single week for 4 months. I just went there, and on the...
Gosh, that's a little bit annoying, man.
I'm a stalker.
You're lucky he took it well.
I literally went there and I'd go down there, and he didn't mind me coming, because we'd have a chat. I would go and like buy some bits and bobs, but I was like, let me learn. Like, you're in your 70s, I was like, teach me, I can buy out the business, I want to know, I literally was like, he still thinks I'm mad to this day, because he's like a family member now. But on the last time I went down there, I shut the door, and I sat down and went, I'm not leaving here until I have an answer. And it was like this inside of me, this like, you saw how like shaking I was, like, I'm not leaving here, like this is going to happen, or like this is not. And he was like, all right. And he gave me the chance, and within that chance, I'm still working with him, he's still teaching me everything until this day. And I'm able to shift. In the last 5 months, we've shifted over 30,000 items. It's also, I'd say, massively, the previous question, go with your instinct. I'm really into intuition. If something doesn't feel right, honestly, let it go. And if you feel something that's not going right, keep going. With the previous question, sometimes you're going to get moments where like, what the hell am I doing this for? When is it going to end? Honestly, I have those moments most days. I can't even tell you, me and my partner are running off 4 hours sleep most nights, which is not ideal. But it's that hunger of, I know just before it's going to go blow up, the arrow pulls back. So just keep going, do not give up. It's that hunger, and don't compare yourself. It's a massive thing, especially in this vintage game, modelling, whatever. You can look and go, oh, they're doing better than me. How are they doing this? How are they doing that? Just honestly, give yourself the goal and focus on you. It's like a horse with blinkers on. Don't look around, focus on you. And that's my little story of how I
I wouldn't say I recommend to do that with every company you try and get into, but no, definitely will work for some. Thank you so much for your
I'd say, and I learned this the hard way, don't try and hide behind an email, because I get about 10 emails a day asking to help out, assist, all this sort of stuff, and it does get buried, unfortunately. And I know, as someone who for the first 5 years was just emailing people all the fucking time, and I chat to some people who are like, oh, I sent a load of emails, and they're like, oh, how many emails? Like, I sent like 30 emails this week. Like 30 emails I wouldn't expect a reply from. If I'd sent maybe 200 emails, I might expect maybe one person to come back and be like, maybe we'll chat in a couple months. Like, that's a realistic expectation. But as soon as someone picks up the phone to me and calls me and is like, oh hey, look, I do this, blah blah, I'm like, it's like instantly it's in my reality. And I've learned this I've learned the hard way that every time I want, to sort of start working with someone or meet someone, online never seems to work. It doesn't sort of enter into their reality or their psyche, but you bump into them on the street, all of a sudden you're a real person. When you go to their address, like I've turned up to a load of agencies and just been like, hey, I like your stuff, like blah blah blah, just blah blah, like, oh okay, oh you're here, what about Thursday, blah blah. As soon as you start meeting people in person, it becomes, so yeah, I think emails might be a big waste of time. I know I've wasted a lot of time emailing a lot of people, and everything is so online now. I think if you get a phone number, call them. If you've got an address, go there. And that would be my advice for getting in touch with people.
It's sales, basically. You watch the Wolf of Wall Street, and it's just sales. Like, it sounds boring. I was just saying to your dad earlier, you're a very good salesman. You're just selling yourself. And or watch the Kanye 3-part thing on Netflix, where he just walks into a record label and puts his CD in the thing and just starts rapping in front of the record label, and it's like, you can't escape it.
Well, we all love a little doom scroll, potentially. Our next conversation is about the importance of social media in businesses now. We wanted to ask you guys if you have any struggles that you're having with content that you're willing to share with us. If that's something that you're having to do with a business you're doing or helping out with, and if you're trying to pursue that in any kind of way, we wanted to ask if anyone had a struggle that they were willing to open up to us about. Raise your hand now if you do, no worries if not. I'll pick someone out. No, I'm joking. Yeah, amazing.
Obviously, my biggest struggle with content social media is getting engagement back and trying to receive engagement from other basically make my account see it. So, for example, I do a lot of modeling and stuff, but it's getting that stuff out there for people to see and figuring out how to build that network.
Amazing, thank you so much. Clara, I know you're not part of this panel talk today, but we just had a model ask how they get their content seen, modeling content, by modeling agencies, but also engagement in general. And I was wondering, maybe you have a hot tip about that you give to your models about how they showcase. Come on, join us. Just for a second, I'll hand over.
Okay, I'm right on the spot now with nothing prepared. However, actually, on our Instagram, this is my little plug now, there is, I believe, a video that's gone up recently, a reel about social media and how to get seen, or actually, it's what not to do to get not seen, if that makes sense, so just flip it. The one thing that I would say is if you're looking to be seen by an agency, there's some things that are completely like no-brainer things, but seem to still happen, i.e. if you have a private Instagram account, we're not going to see it, and everybody works so quickly in this industry, which is what all of these guys have said. Sadly, we just moved on. We're on it, moving all the time. So if we come across a hurdle straight away, chances are we're just going to move on to the next thing. So number one, make sure your account's not private. Number two, have some kind of picture of yourself in the profile picture, not something kind of abstract or a logo or this or that. If this is, I'm really talking about models here. If you want to get seen, we need a picture in that profile where we're not actually using that to judge how you look. What we're doing with that is associate your name with that picture so we remember you when we're going back to look for things and stuff like that. I think it's also really important in the modelling industry that brands are now looking for people that have more to them than just a pretty face. So, those days where it was, it would be a lie to say there's there's completely size restrictions out. However, there is a lot of diversity in the UK, which is amazing. So I think you've got to show what you look like clearly in your Instagram feed. Again, if you're showing artistic pictures, whatever else, that's really cool. But if you want to be spotted as a model, we need to actually see you there and ideally see what you look like clearly. I also think show your personality. If you do sports, if you dance, if you go out with your friends, if you're just a funny guy in your group, whatever, they're looking for a vibe as well, a personality. And as I said, I think that a lot of brands are really interested in people that have additional skills. So things like, if you're a creative, if you're an advocate, if you are a boxer, if you're a footballer, just showcase what you do as well. Brands like to tell stories with everything they do now.
Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Guys, now your personal experience with social media will be great. Megan, we'll start with you because I know that that's a key part of the business and what you did, so maybe a bit of experience would be great.
I remember when I was in Italy and I started on Depop, my little cousin said to me, Meg, you've got to get on TikTok. And I remember I was like, what is this TikTok? I remember it first started the hype. And I remember I started posting just little behind the scenes. And when I came back to the UK, I started doing the filler bag. And it's all about consistency. I know everyone says that, the algorithm and everything, but even if you get 300 views, doesn't matter, just make a little video every day. But one thing I'd say is don't make rubbish in a way, don't make filler in pieces. One thing I like to do when I make content, and I'm not really somebody to talk in a big scale, not like an influencer or someone that focuses on it, I like to make content that's, I think of it as if I'm seeing it, like, oh, how would that get my attention? So for what I do, I need to get people to come to my events. So I think, okay, what can I have there? I always like to say, tooth gems, I kind of make it like a day activity. So I try and word it in a certain way that come with your friends, spend the day, it's accessible, it's affordable, you are welcome here, it's a safe space. So I think about ways that it's going to make people want to see this video, want to come. So for instance, if you're a model for this, if you were seeing it and you were scrolling past and you're like, oh, that's a beautiful girl, oh, I like how she's done that, just think about it from another point of view, not as in, oh, I don't know about this angle, just think about it from an outside point of view. Because I did a video about £10 for the bag, and I put, come down, £10 for the bag, free donuts, everyone's welcome. And we had 6,000 people turn up. And it was the most ridiculous day of my life. It was just my mum, my partner Harry. We were there trying to wing it and had to turn 2,000 people over. It was just from saying the right thing, maybe using the right audio. So just try and think about it, not as, oh, do I look good in this, but what's someone going to see that's going to get me or that's going to get people to this, if that makes sense.
Amazing, amazing. I think Lucas would be great. Lucas makes incredible content on YouTube, on Instagram, and TikTok. He makes really beautiful videos. We would hope so. He's a videographer as well, so you would hope so, right? But what I wanted to ask, was how much do you think social media is important for your work, and have you had excess jobs through that, and what's been the kind of content that those jobs that you pushed out to get those jobs in particular of what they're looking for, the brands?
I feel like I haven't got a massive majority of work from social media, but what it does do is when I do the traditional networking, like I go to an event or I'm meeting with someone or I meet someone casually who's a prospective client, we have a nice time. When they see that number on top of it, as long as that number's under more than 1,000 followers, they're like, oh, there's actually some traction here, people seem to be following. That's when it becomes useful. It's the combination of making the Instagram profile, but then still going out and taking it to the real world and getting people to recognize that other people are interested. I mean, it's all sales, like you said, it's sales. It's just another sales tactic. And that brings me on to how I kind of see content at the minute, which is, if you guys think about some of the people that you see on social media regularly, if you followed someone recently and you like their content, chances are you scroll past 4 or 5 videos of them, and then you finally follow them on like the 5th or 6th you enjoy it. And it is that kind of like, it's like a marketing bulletin board, it's like the posters in the bus, it's like getting your face seen enough times that someone then recognizes and likes and understands and follows. And I've seen firsthand with the consistency thing, so I kind of go through periods of posting and not posting depending how work goes, but for like 3 or 4 years I was posting on TikTok, and I was doing it like when I had a bit of time, sporadically, putting loads of work in sometimes and then not putting loads of work in. I had like maybe 100 or 150 videos. I got no traction on it, no one was watching it, and I was like, fuck it, I'll put it all on my Instagram. I put it all up on Instagram in like the course of 2 months. So it's just like post a day, post a day, post a day, twice a day. And then it fucking blew up, and then I went back to, I ran out of content, and went back to my like sporadic, not really posting that thing, or like put a bit of effort in one day and then not, and then just no traction. And I feel like I'm not an algorithm guru, but the way I see the algorithm is, I see it as like an old school Hollywood producer for a TV show. They're not gonna like push a TV show that they don't have lots of content for, because they don't want audiences to come to something that isn't active and moving, and you know, people are gonna follow, they want to push out the people who are posting so the followers have something to watch, because the apps want people to stay on the apps as long as possible. So they're only going to push people they know are active and following. I've heard things about like if you have a lot of things in your saved drafts and stuff, that's a benefit, and all this stuff, all these little tactics that they're looking out for to see who's actually going to be active. And the only truth I know about social media is consistency. Consistency is the only thing that works. That's the only truth I know about it. There's so much speculation, but that's the only thing.
Rich, your understanding of social media would be great.
I just think you've got to be yourself, that's the main thing. I'm not the best at social media. I'm the oldest here, so I was a talking to people type person. I just think, for me, when I'm looking at a photographer, you can have 3 photographers. They're all pretty much the same, but one's a bit boring, never goes out. One's into cars and fitness, and another one's into golf and boxing. If I have to shoot, like recently we did this thing with a Formula 1 Alpine team. So I know John Gordon loves cars, he's an amazing photographer, but he does post occasionally about cars and stories. So he's a very suave guy. So he was right for the job. Not only was his photography brilliant, you're not booking a camera, you're booking a person. So sometimes I did a feeler job where I had to go to Italy for a week. I got to spend a week with this person. But in the day, you're doing photography, but in the evening you're going out for dinner, you've got to sit next to one on a plane, you've got to talk about stuff. So for me, if I can understand what that person's actually like Cara was saying, if that person's got similar humour to me, I know I'm going to have a good fun in the evening. We're going to maybe go for a run, or we're going to go whatever. And that's the thing, you'll attract what you put out on your social. So if you just, I've got my best friend, he's a photographer, he just posts photos. He's actually a really good joke. He's a very good photographer, and he's a really nice, charismatic, good-looking guy. But he never gets work because no one knows what he's like. So, you know, where your personality is really cut out on social media, and it's fun, and you blend the two. So it's, yeah.
Amazing. I think also an important note is producing a portfolio-looking work on your social media, right? So then when you're meeting that connection in person, they can come to your Instagram and see clearly, oh yes, this person does this, and they're interested in doing this, and they would like to do this. Almost like turning a LinkedIn page into an Instagram page. That's really important, because a lot of the connections that I've made through social media, through real life, obviously the first point of action is they're going to see my Instagram, and that is a portfolio of work of everything we're doing and everything I'm connected to, and the people I know, and this stuff, the people we're mutuals with, that all has a part to play in their perception of you and whether they're going to book you for jobs or X, Y, Z after that.
And also, if you want to enjoy your job, if you're putting out what you're into, you're likely to get booked for what you're into. So the worst thing for me would be to be booked for a car mechanic job. I'd be like, fuck, it's going to be the most boring thing ever. Because if I'm putting out what I'm into, then, oh yeah, Rich likes this, Rich likes that, you know, so that's it.
I'm sure that everyone is filled with such different talents, and I hope that we've related to some of you guys, if not all of you guys, in many ways through this talk. We're going to open the floor to questions now, and so be brutal, be selfish, ask a question that relates to you and what you're doing in your next steps in your career to these guys, and we'll do our best to answer them. We'd love to help you guys a more targeted approach of what you guys are facing or the next steps you're having thoughts about. And so if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand now. We'll walk around the room.
Just to each of you, what's the best mistake you've ever made and that you've learned something really juicy from?
The best mistake, I've made some real clangers recently. Okay, so I had to do a shoot for this football brand, and they wanted it in an old pub. So I know this pub in Brixton called the Marquis of Lawn. Went to the pub and it was closed. But I knew the lady, I'd shot there before. So I phoned her up and I said, is that Marcus? I've done a shoot in your place a few times, blah, blah, blah. Can I come down Tuesday? Yeah, no worries, no worries, no worries. So I rushed it a little bit. Come to the shoot day, the whole crew got to the location. And I phoned the pub. I'm outside, yeah, it's me, yeah, I'm up to the shoot. And she went, no, come down. And 10 minutes later, she wasn't there. 20 minutes later, she wasn't there. And I was like, fuck, oh shit, where's this lady? I'm downstairs. She said, I'm downstairs. And I was like, Marquis of Lawn, Brixton. She went, I'm in Manchester. So I had the whole team, and we didn't have a pub. And I fucked up. I rushed it. I played on my sort of own. I got overconfident, and I thought I could go to this place. I know this person. Location's done, and I just moved on to the next thing. And I had to go to the team. I said, guys, I've really fucked up, and that was a real emotional thing, because I had to say to this paying client, okay, budget, I fucked up. I said, I've got the wrong pub. And they went, oh fuck. And I went, give me 10 minutes, I'll find another pub. And I just bombed it around Brixton in my car, and eventually I found another pub. But it was such a character building thing because I had to stand up and just own it. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to run away, and I'm like a grown man. I wanted to run away, and I had the most anxiety-driven, paralysing moment of fear. But I had to say, guys, I fucked up. And in the end, we got the shoot done. But once the shoot had been delivered and everyone was happy, I did this kind of like social media thing where I talked to camera and I said, I just want to let everyone know I was driving to work and I want to let everyone know what happened to me recently. I told the same story. And it was, I struggle with social media and engagement. I get fuck all the views. And it was the best ever thing. I told the story about how I fucked up.
I loved it. I loved seeing people
I loved
in distress.
I was like, I had to do it more often. But you know, you've got to fuck up sometimes to keep yourself in check. So that was that.
Megan, you have a story that comes to mind?
I have a similar story to Rich. I won't say that one because I feel like it's too similar. But going back to trusting your guts, which I really am an advocate for, is when I first started this business, maybe the first year into it, it was doing well on social media and we're getting a lot of people to the events. I had a few people that wanted to be investors. One of them, we had the original Ted Baker, Ray Kelvin, who's no longer here anymore. We had himself, and there was another guy who I went with, which I won't mention the name. Why I'm going with this story is sometimes I feel like we all have a vision of where we want to be and what you think is right and what you think your journey is meant to be. And I was thinking a year in, oh yeah, an investor. You know, this time next year it's going to be all around the UK, it's going to be, this is what I need. But in actual fact, it wasn't. It just needed me, the business, to have a plan and to take it step by step and not jump a hurdle. So I went with this guy, and we, for some reason as well, did 50-50. Long story short, it was a bit of a con. Tried to take my surname Wings, put me in debt £35,000, paused the bank accounts, the whole thing, and I was a year in, and I was like, I should just, what do I say, don't run before you can walk. If you think, oh, I need to have this, I need to have this, actually just really take your time, speak to your inner circle, find out what's right, and if you're going to do something different, if you're a model or when it's your business, now after 5 years in, as I'm so passionate about it and it's in memory of my dad, it can only ever be me. And you don't need to have big names, big people and big investors, because if you're hungry enough and you do it enough, one will get there. And I'm taking my time, I've got myself out of debt, and the ball is rolling over. That's one thing I can say, is just because someone's got loads of money or someone's, you know, acts like a big gun samacha, doesn't mean anything. Do your own thing. Trust your gut.
Lucas, we saw a light bulb moment there.
Oh God, you made me go through a traumatic experience.
I'm sorry.
Fucked up. Alright, so when I was 19, at that point I'd been doing videography for quite a bit. I'd done some stuff abroad, like in exchange for free travel. So the portfolio looked kind of okay. And I saw this job going on Facebook. It was like, oh, we need a director last minute for this job with Lab Bible, which is now a production company. It was one of those like videos that they do with what they call the military. It's like a big like military campaign, commercial thing. They're like, we need a director. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm a director, blah, blah, blah. So then my reel at the time, which was just a load of crap. And they were like, oh, this is cool, you directed all this. They saw the stuff abroad, they saw all this like little tidbits of stuff, but in like a 30-second edit, it looks alright. And I ended up going into the production office and having a meeting with them, and they were like, alright, yeah, so we're thinking like maybe like 2 Ori cameras, we've got cook lenses, that DOP's really safe, blah, 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 they just came off this feature. And I was like, okay, yeah, but I don't know what fucking any of that means. I was there with my notebook, like, okay, I'll Google all of this later. And yeah, I managed to like scrape through the first day of the shoot by the skin of my teeth, like just kind of lying out of my arse that I knew what I was doing. But it was like on the drive back on that day, DOP like figured out how young I was and went straight to the producer and was like, do you know you've hired a 19-year-old? And he was like, no, I didn't know that. and I had to like have a sit down and like go through like my actual experience, and that was until that point I was very confident, very like I can do anything, and that was like the first time where I was like, okay, I do actually have some learning to do, and like I can't just like bulldoze my way onto any job and take anything, and yeah, that's been but the confidence is back now, but with a lot more experience.
Amazing, thank you so much. Is there anyone else with any more questions I'd like to share from you? That's good, thank you. I have a question for you guys actually. We're always doing so much, right? We've talked about how we need to be passionate and hustling and driven and doing so much. When do we slow down? What do we spend our time doing when we slow down? Are we spending ourselves too thin? I mean, I go through this every day and I am not slowing down and I am spending myself too thin at times for sure. One way I do is, I think I go crazy for about 3 months, go, because I need to and I feel like I have to and the business needs to do that for. And then I'll go camping for 7 days and forget about it for 7 days and that'll be it. And then I'll come back a new person. But what experience do you guys have with that and where's that from?
So I've always been, like I said, I'm a bit older, so when I was younger, my passion was just go, 100 miles an hour, and I would go out a lot, drink a lot, substances, chaos. And but I've always liked the gym, I've always liked fishing, I've always kind of balanced cool stuff with uncool stuff. I like a bit of gardening, I like pets, animals, country. My dad was quite into that sort of stuff, so that has always given me a reflection time, you know, just to kind of know that there's another side to East London and Peckham and photo shoots and makeup and all this shit, because that's not really real. So as I've got older, and you guys will get older, have family, wife, mortgage, I'm still working out that I don't drink anymore. I'm very into fitness, trying to rewind and straighten out all the kind of mess I made when I was younger. And also when you get older, you need to you become slightly more fragile. So you need to strengthen your mind. I've had loads of mental health kind of issues and anxiety and suffer a lot with that. So nutrition is something I've recently discovered, and it sounds boring, especially on a Saturday evening, but it's
something you've cooked recently that's been very nutritious.
I've just been eating clean.
Tell us a dish, tell us.
Just eggs. If it's got ingredients, fuck it off. Like, if it's got to grow, eggs, lettuce, avocado. My fridge, it's looking very. It's cottage cheese.
Is that why the hair turned?
Mate,
No.
It's given me clarity and it's given me more energy. I drink water. It sounds boring, but I love food. And I'm out. I've had to learn how to be sociable again, because from the age of 14, I just smashed alcohol, went out all the time, and I've never actually learned how to sit at a dinner table sober. So when I get up drinking, I was like, and I had to learn, and now you realise it's actually you being sociable. You don't need to drink. And that sounds a bit preachy, but if you want to stay in the industry for until my age, then you have to, unfortunately, knock it on the head at some point.
Amazing. Megan, how do you wind down? Come on, you've got to wind down once.
I'm the queen of burnout. It's appalling. I wouldn't recommend it. This is my first time out in a very long time. Me and my partner are excited to be out tonight. We're usually packaging orders. I think I allow it to get to this point because I don't know where I would be without wings. It's very rooted within me now. It's like a bittersweet, I feel like, because of sadly trauma of my dad passing away the way it happened. and this is for my dad. It's like I'm very linked to this business, so if I'm not doing it every day, if I'm not giving it 110%, then I don't know where I would be. Like, my mum sometimes says if I didn't do this business, I probably might not be here. It's such a big thing for me. So I think if you're doing something, obviously that's a very extreme case. And I feel like a lot of people that are in this industry are neurodivergent. I'm very highly ADHD in my brain. It's important to pace your days. I've actually been using AI. There's a lot of people that don't like AI, but for me it works. I'm very dyslexic as well. I've told it my whole routine and everything I need to get done. I know it's very extreme, but it's actually made me a full schedule, which I've stuck to this week, and I'm okay. It's given me the time I need to have a break, the time I need to have a lunch, and I'm the type of girl that needs a tick list. I need to know, it's even put in like when people come in to work for me, what they need to be doing at what time. So I think having a schedule is very important. And just don't allow yourself to burn out, which is easy to say that is, instead of giving 100% every day, even if you give 20% or 10%, 30%, just a little bit of that percentage towards your goal every day. It doesn't need to be every day, just as long as you're taking a step forward. Remember sending some emails, making some phone calls, networking. Like tonight I'm here to meet some incredible people, just doing something every day towards your goal. I wouldn't have liked it. I'm the queen of it, so I'm the worst person to ask.
Oh, we should have asked you. Lucas, tell us, how do you wind up? We've got nutrition, we've got fitness, we've got scheduling, which I think is all really important points.
I think it's setting expectations for yourself and repositioning how you see what you want to get done. Because I'm friends with a lot of successful people, and some of them are very miserable because they've achieved what they wanted to achieve. Like they signed that record deal, they did that tour, they got that portfolio thing done, they got through all those 10 projects, they sold that business, and they did it so fucking quickly because all they wanted to do was do it to prove to themselves, to prove to other people, to have something to show for, and they bulldozed through and they sacrificed a lot. Like you always hear people like, I sacrificed so much, and I know now that I've stopped trying to do everything so quickly. Like for example, yesterday I did my first sort of big editorial. I've got 6 I want to do. I wanted to do them all in about the space of 3 months, and I'm allowing myself to do them slowly, make sure everyone who's coming onto it is having a good time, I'm having a good time with them, and just slowing down and enjoying all the little projects that you want to get done, enjoying the process of everything, because the burnout comes so quick when you're not having a good time. And also the people around you need to be having a good time as well. This is word of mouth business. And if people are having a good time on a shit job with you, then they're having a good time on a good job in their eyes, and they're going to want to work with you again. And I'd say that's the other thing is, early on, you might feel like you might not know a lot of people, or you might not have something to give people, but I know as soon as I started asking people for help, or just, even simple things like carrying stuff to and from the studio, or just, oh, mate, do you want to have dinner and can you help me with this? Or whether you're an actor and you need a self-tape, just asking people for help with stuff really helps get the load off you. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Amazing. Guys, that is the end of our panel talk. Give a big round of applause for the panel talk. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sitting through it. I want to leave you guys with this. You're in a room full of passionate people. So passionate you spent the last hour sitting down on a hard bench listening to us waffle on. Thank you so much for that. Speak to the people around you, next to you, make the connection between you guys, carry on the conversation. I heard there's great pubs around the corner, we'll be there. And make those people, make those connections. These people are here in front of you, giving you work opportunities. They're right here in this room and out of this room. So carry on that for the rest. Thank you so much.
Just want to say, can we give Felix a round of applause? Only his second council and smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. And one more time for the guests as well.
And again, round of applause for Truman. Thank you for staying the whole night. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. What an incredible job. This guy's an unbelievable man. finishing his uni dissertation, he's finishing his final exam for university, a month, right? And he did that, the same month he did that, he did another event. He's crazy. But this event takes a lot of work to put into. It's crazy. It takes a lot of people, fathers, mothers, friends. They all helped out. Really incredible work. And we're all so young doing this. You know, everyone here is so young who's put this on. So young. And so to be able to do such an amazing thing with such amazing people and have such support from you guys is really appreciated. So thank you so much for sitting with us. Thank you so much.